Welcome to our concert this evening. We're so proud of all of these students that are participating in the Jordan District High School Honors Orchestra. And you're probably well aware that these students have been carefully selected by their teachers. They represent some of the very best, if not the best, high school orchestra students in the Jordan School District. And they've worked very hard, first of all, at their individual schools with their teachers, learning these selections and rehearsing them very carefully. And then today, as you probably know, they've been rehearsing all morning long. And we believe that they've had a marvelous experience today. And one of the biggest reasons for that, of course, is for them to have the opportunity to collaborate together and rehearse together, but also because they've been able to work with a world-class conductor today. They will be conducted and have been conducted all day by Dr. Robert Baldwin, who is a professor of music at the University of Utah. He is in charge of the orchestra programs up there, and he is the music director of the University of Utah Philharmonic. In addition to that, he is the music director of the Salt Lake Symphony, and he is a world-class violist. He has performed with world-class string quartets literally all over the world. String quartets like the St. Petersburg Quartet or the Stanford Quartet. And of course, he's conducted world-class orchestras all over the world. And so we've been very fortunate to have Dr. Baldwin with us today. I think in the Jordan District have been able to build just a great collaboration with Dr. Baldwin. He has worked in professional development settings with our teachers. He, of course, has worked with students before and also has served as an adjudicator. And we want him to know that we value that very greatly. And you'll see what, under his direction, what these wonderful students have been able to accomplish today. Of course, we wouldn't be complete without recognizing their teachers. They also have absolutely outstanding, stellar orchestra teachers that have worked with them. And I want to make sure that I don't miss any of their names here. First of all, Dr. James Thompson, who is the orchestra teacher here at Bingham, and we are so grateful to Dr. Thompson for hosting this today. And all of the other teachers, like I said, have all worked very, very hard in helping prepare for this. Chase Radmull, Jason Weimer, Megan Thora, and Zane Lowry. And they, like I said, I just can't say enough about those wonderful teachers and the great work that they do. And so, congratulations to these students for being selected and to their teachers. And again, thank you to Dr. Baldwin. At the end of the concert, I won't be making any further announcements, but please be sure to show your appreciation to both the students and Dr. Baldwin and their teachers at the end of the concert with your applause. We also, of course, want to thank Bingham High School and their administration and their stage crew and their custodial crew for all they've done to help make this possible this evening. This evening they'll be performing 4 numbers. They'll begin with The Arrival of the Queen of Sheba. That's from an oratorio called Solomon by Handel. Their second number will be Moonlight Odyssey by Matt Turner. That will be followed by October, which is an arrangement by a composition by Eric Whitaker. And they'll conclude tonight's performance with Allegro Giocoso by Brahms. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Robert Baldwin and the Jordan School District High School Honors Orchestra.
Well, thank you very much for being here. That music, the entrance of the Queen of Sheba, we talked about it a little bit today. It actually has nothing to do about the entrance of the Queen of Sheba. A conductor just decided to make that the title of the piece. The Queen of Sheba does come in later in this act, but it's just called a symphony at the beginning of the third act of the oratorio. So it works out fine that now we all know it as something else. And it may be a piece that maybe you recognized before. It's been used in films, it's been used in television, and it was one of the earliest pieces ever to be recorded. If you can imagine that, back when they had the wax cylinders and they'd have a big horn that the orchestra would be playing into and recording it, that was one of the first pieces. And you can imagine, with a couple of flutes and strings, it would be kind of an easy piece to do that with. So there's a lot of history behind that particular piece. When we do this music, we worked this morning, we started with this piece, and we talked a little bit about style and Baroque style. One of the great things about playing in the 21st century in an orchestra is that you get all kinds of different styles. And so we sometimes have to decide, what are we going to do? What makes something special? The next piece of music is nothing like what we just played. It's very different. You'll hear sounds that are different. You'll hear chords that are different, and intervals that during Handel's time would have completely been avoided. You would never do this interval. But you do this interval in music from a different part of the world. And that part of the world is northern India. In northern India, the music that formed there spread throughout the Middle East and throughout the Indian subcontinent and became a classical music of its own tradition. And just like today, we hear symphonic music scores that are sound like classical music by people like John Williams. In India, they have a tradition called Bollywood, where they have music that is based on the music of Indian music that is played by symphony orchestras as well. So we've had a fun time working on this piece by Turner, which is called Moonlight Odyssey. Listen for the different sounds that are going to tell you this is not from England in the 1700s. There's your two soloists are both, this is not made up, both named Samantha. So, didn't they do a great job? There's something about kind of playing that music, and what you were hearing in that, there's what's called an exotic interval. It's called an augmented second if you want to get fancy in music theory about it. But it's one of these intervals that kind of is just stretched ever so slightly, and that gives it its kind of regional flavor. As soon as you hear that, you don't think, oh, that sounds like Mozart. You know you're kind of in for a different kind of journey and a different kind of feel. Our next piece of music also has a different feel, and it's got a title that I always find strange doing, not in the month that it's titled. It's titled is October. It is about the month of October, and here we are in January. I guess we could think that October is warmer, and there's still some leaves on the trees and things like this. But the piece was written by the composer to kind of evoke what the feeling of October was as the light starts to change. And as the leaves start to fall, the air feels different. And what would that be musically? And this music, if you don't know the music of Eric Whitacre, you might be reminded of some other composers, notably some movie composers, because it has a very much of a sound that you might hear James Newton Howard, who did some of the Disney Pixar movies and things like that. It's that same musical language. So we've enjoyed working on this piece, and we've got a couple of other solos that are featured with this. These folks didn't even know they were playing the solos until we had them audition at the break this morning. So, including the two Samanthas here, they had no idea that they would be playing that. So it's a big, they've done just a huge heavy lift with all of this, and I appreciate it so much. So here is October by Eric Whitacre. happy that Mr. Thompson helped with a couple of flute players and some percussionists for that piece. You can kind of hear the climactic moments when the timpani roll comes and the cymbals. It's just like, oh my goodness. It's almost, I mean, really, not almost, it really is visual music. And Whitaker is one of those composers who I really love because he's so poetic. I mean, you can just imagine, it's like when you read a poem and all of a sudden you can see it, the power of the words are so strong, the power of his music and the kind of where he takes us is just so powerful. And this is one of those, the students haven't gone to sleep, I don't think, unless someone took a nap, but this is one of those that you'll wake up at 3 in the morning and go, oh, that music is still going. It's just really, really great stuff. So before our last piece, I would like to have, I know Jason is here, and Jim, and I think I saw Megan. Megan is back here. I'm not sure if Chase is here, and Chase is here. There he is, and Zane is here. I'm not sure, but could you please? This doesn't happen with me kind of coming in and doing some sort of like magic trick for 3 hours in the morning or something to make this happen. This happens because the teachers in their public school orchestras work day in and day out to drill skills and to build musicality, and we don't have this. This comes together and it's a wonderful experience, but it doesn't work without their work. So would you please give them a hand? Let's have the teachers stand up, please. Our appreciation. It is definitely my joy to not only work with these students, but also with their teachers all through the years, and to actually get that feeling that we're actually doing this together. We're building it all together. I was at a conference this last week in Omaha, which sounds like a strange place to have a conference in January when it's 0 degrees, but that's what it was. And it was a bunch of conductors, and we had a bunch of famous conductors come in and talk to us. And every single one said, you college students and college conductors and high school conductors, you're the reason we're here. The reason that professional musicians exist is the work that is done. And it also includes many of you in the room that help get your students lessons, help get them to rehearsals at unbelievable hours of the morning so that they can have the full orchestra experience. So thank you very much for that. We're going to end the program now with a piece of music from a symphony. Now this is like what you expect an orchestra to play, right? This is a symphony by Johannes Brahms. And Brahms wrote only 4 symphonies. And he only wrote one piece of music like this, and we're pretty sure that what he was trying to do was imitate a peasant dance in this movement that like Beethoven would have written 100 years before him. And this music has lots of energy, lots of raucous sound, and so if you want to go ahead and tap your toe along to it, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But before we start, how about a hand for this fantastic Jordan District Honor Orchestra, the 2025